All right, we're going to go over what makes a great photograph. This is going to be really important when you are taking photos as the photographer, and it's also going to be important when you're selecting photos, from the hundreds that you're going to be looking at to narrow it down to those few that are going to actually make it onto the yearbook layout. Photos are going to be really what most people are going to be drawn to. The photos have to help tell that story of the event, of the athletic contest, of the season, of the school year, really. So uh, we need to make sure that we're choosing photos that have a certain criteria. So when we are selecting photos, what makes a photo better than the other, like another one? The one thing I want you to keep in mind throughout the entire year when taking or choosing a photo is FACE, FACE. Today we're going to look over what the F and the A and the C and the E stand for. And hopefully, by some of the examples that you're being shown, it will help you um, determine what then would ultimately make a good photo for the yearbook layout. So, some of the keys then to yearbook photos again are face. So, the F is going to stand for being able to see a person's face and or a ball if it is a layout that is a sport. So, you want to focus on the subject's face again or the ball. You want a clear, expressive face or action shot. Okay. The ball's going to add, you know, what maybe type of action it is, whether they're shooting, running, catching, kicking, whatever. But we definitely want to make sure that we have a clear shot of the person's face. The A is going to stand for angle and action. So when we are shooting, people tend to always shoot and take pictures just standing up in their own, like, kind of standing position, which most of our photos then are going to be taken from anywhere from the 5 to like 6 foot range. So you want to make sure that sometimes you take from different angles, whether you're shooting from above and looking down at the same level as a subject if they're sitting, and maybe even low on the ground shooting up. So experiment when you are taking photos with different angles. And the thing with angles, it does give some depth and interest, and it makes the picture look just a little unique and it really attracts people to want to see it. As far as the action, that should be self explanatory. We want people doing things, we just don't want them standing and just smiling and cheesing it up for the camera. We want, we want to tell that story, and the story needs to be action. The C for face stands for close and contrast. So we want to try to get as close to the subject as possible, try to fill that frame with that person or maybe, multiple people. Um, and we want to make sure too that there, could hopefully be some contrast in the photo as well. And that'll make the images kind of pop out a little bit. The E for face stands for emotion, energy, excitement. Again, make sure we are trying to capture those feelings. So this kind of is very similar to action. We want to make sure that you know people are doing something or they are reacting to something. They're not just posing and looking at the camera. So let's go back to face and ball if it's a sport. So say you're on the sidelines shooting a football game. This picture here of this quarterback would be an appropriate photo to choose for the layout. And really, when you look at it, it has a variety of things. Um, you could see clearly the quarterback's face, and sometimes this is difficult if they are wearing equipment, but we can see the quarterback's face and he still has the ball in his hands. All right. When we look at some of the other elements, he also, it's an action shot. He's moving. There's some energy with his offensive lineman blocking for him. And there is a little bit of contrast because the person that is the opposing team in white um, does show some contrast with uh, the green team players. So it does have a lot of the elements that we're looking for, which definitely makes it a photo that you would want to use for the yearbook, or you could choose for the yearbook. Angle and action. So notice how the photographer in the sample picture here is kind of like squatting down a little bit to take the shot. That's kind of what you would have to do when you're taking photos of kids like sitting at a desk. Again, if you take the photo just standing up, the angle's always going to be the same. It's going to be from that same height of 5 to 6 feet. This photo is very unique because it's kind of down at their level. And what I like about this photo too, you have a little bit of repetition with the kids in the background that are slightly out of focus, which is okay because the subject, the girl in front, is in focus and they are all doing something. So that's the action. They are engaged in the material. And it's a nice, unique, kind of like working level angle. So this would make a great photograph. And again, it's close. There is some energy. They're doing something, and there's definitely action. It's close, and we can see faces. It would make a great photo. The C in face again means and stands for close in contrast. So you want to try to get down as close as you can. And the example photographer picture, you see he has a kind of like a telephoto lens on there. Can zoom in. You don't have to be always right up in somebody's face. You can use the camera to zoom in. You can actually crop a photo also to get that close and contrast feel. So in this case, we have zoomed in on the student getting a little bit of assistance from the teacher. The other thing I like about this photo is the girl's shirt and even like the cards that they're using for the lesson. A little bit of contrast and color there with what the teacher is wearing. Um, so it's close. You can see faces. There's some action, a little bit of even emotion and excitement. The anticipation of what the lesson is, teaching. So again, all four elements here are being represented, and this would make a great photo for the yearbook. And then the last one, the E for face, stands for a couple different things. It could be energy, emotion, and excitement. So this photographer here, there's something going on. He's trying to get a good angle and shoot above the crowd to capture that excitement or that emotion on what's going on. And the sample photograph of the friends here kind of like responding or reacting to something that happened. Now, we don't know what happened. However, this photo, people are going to see it and they're going to be like, geez, I wonder what they're, reacting to. That's where your caption writing is going to come in. It's going to go in a little further detail and we're going to find out what they are reacting to. So this is another great photo. It's close. You can see faces, there's action, there's emotion, there's excitement. So it does meet all four of the face elements. So this would be a great photo to use in the yearbook. So again, what's our whole, reason for producing a book here? We're trying to tell the story of our school year. We're going to use photos mainly with captions to dig a little deeper with information. So when you are taking photos and selecting photos, you want to have a photo that meets at least three of the face elements, but truly you should be striving for all four face elements to have the most dynamic photos possible on your layout, and it will just really enhance the school year, and the yearbook, and help tell our story. So be very mindful when you are taking photos and selecting photos. Face should always be in your mind, and trying to achieve this look throughout like the entire book. All right, so happy picture taking, happy picture selecting, and remember, think face.